Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Scott Schilling Speaks. I'm your host, Scott Schilling. Got a good friend with me today. He is an investor, a brand specialist, an accomplished writer. He guides people to bestsellers. He does so many different things. Doug Crowe, thanks for joining me here today on Scott Schilling Speaks.
Pleasure to be here. How you doing?
Doing great.
Good.
Doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. It's Friday. Weather's good. What else you need?
That's exactly it. So which one of your expertise should we talk about first? Where do you want to go?
Oh man, whatever's going to benefit your audience the most, Scott. I get a lot of questions about the whole author journey thing, so we could focus on that if you like.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
So what is the author journey, or what do you take folks through?
First of all, a lot of people are told or think about writing a book, right? I think the statistics that I've read show that 84% of people think about writing a book and less than 1% ever do. And the reasons that most people don't is because it's a pain in the butt and it's hard and it takes thought and creativity and a whole lot of patience. And then there's this fear of saying, here I am, world, here's my book. So there's a lot of reasons people don't do it, but there's a lot more reasons why people should. And my job as a facilitator is to help tip those scales to the point where, listen, I don't want you to regurgitate what you heard at the last Tony Robbins seminar, but I would love your perspective on how you make the world a better place. So my job is to help people get the message out there to the right people and to benefit not just themselves, but to the greater good. That's what we focus on.
Well, it makes a whole bunch of sense. I was doing a training yesterday and said, the most valuable thing you have is your story, because quite frankly, you're the only you. Nobody else can do it like you can do it, right, wrong, or indifferent, good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah.
So how do you take somebody who's got a story and turn that into something of tremendous value in a book?
Well, we start off with their intent and their goals. A lot of people focus on the book first. We don't do that. We focus on the purpose of it. Like, why are you doing this? And what's it mean to you? What's it mean to your audience? And is your idea worthy? This is a tough question to ask people. It's like, well, your story is unique, but is it interesting enough to move people to action? And a lot of people, myself included, I wrote my book before I actually told anybody I was doing it. So with the courageous ones out there, we say, listen, your book idea sounds good to me. I like it, but I'm just one person. Why don't we go ask 20, 30, 50, 100 other people about your idea? And let's go ahead and make some mock-up book covers. Let's put some titles out there. Let's get some real feedback to see if it resonates with people. And sometimes the smallest shift in a color or a word can make a world of difference when someone's clicking or not, wanting to spend their time on your idea, reading a book or whatnot. We also do competitive analysis. We'll go to Amazon and categorize about 100 3-star reviews for people before they write their book. Now we choose 3-star reviews because, 5 stars, it's, maybe somebody's mom. A 1-star, somebody's just ticked off of the world. We don't want to care their opinion anyway. But a 3-star review, somebody's generally read the book and has some constructive feedback. So we catalog those, do a pie chart, and organize it for our clients and go, here's what the audience is telling us they like about your category. Here's what they think is missing in this category. Here's what they don't like. So we take that information and make sure that when we write your book, we don't make the same mistake these other authors have made.
Well, I think as a guy who's written a number of books himself and not gone through those processes and now is wishing he would have.
Me too.
I mean, I'm really impressed by that, very seriously, from the standpoint of it makes a tremendous amount of sense to do the legwork up front to then, get feedback or suggestions or direction for something that could produce even more good done well.
Yeah, there's even the benefits of if it's not focusing on your story, but focusing on an idea or a theme, you can get others to contribute their stories by way of feedback, whatnot, and it makes your book a richer experience. You might pick up a launch team out of it. You're doing the Oprah effect, right? Taking the spotlight off yourself and putting on these people. Chicken Soup for the Soul is a great example of that, right?
Mhm.
So no matter how you position your book, whether it's a personal journey or hero story or an idea, a conceptual one or a fable, whatever it is, yeah, get a lot of feedback before you spend a lot of time and money on that endeavor. It'll only give you an ROI of X. It's never going to be a bad thing to do. There's no downside to doing that. So we spend time on that. And then once it's been validated and vetted, then we have a journalist, ghostwriting, editing team that spends months capturing your voice, your stories, your data, and turning it into a best-selling book.
Well, again, I mean, I think that people hear you've got a book inside, you need to get it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and I'm not sure who perpetuates that, but
People like me.
no, I don't. Well, no, I think you're doing it differently. That's where I was actually going with it.
Yeah.
Because I think there's too many people that sit there and say, well, you've got a book and you just get it out. And it's like, well, no, I don't want to get it out. Because again, a big part of the intent in the book and the success of the book is got to come because there's got to be some want to, right? There's got to be some burning desire within the person to do what it's going to take to make that a bestseller.
Right. You've got to have the right words to capture that person's attention in a world where data has shown that our attention span is now less than a goldfish. So you've got less than 6 seconds to make sure that you get someone's attention for even a split second to get them to even look at your cover or turn it over, look at the back cover or read your blog post or go to your YouTube channel. There's a lot of, there's billions of pieces of noise out there, and piercing that, it's a full-time job for our team.
Well, I would think so. I was just thinking of anthology books and so many people that just, it's like, well, you can be a best-selling author. And now I'm a guy who's been in 5 or 6 anthology books.
Yeah.
But the one thing I never felt authentic when here there's 15 to 25 co-authors, right? And the book becomes a bestseller. And all of a sudden you're this best-selling author that's done 452 words or right. Or one of the books I remember it so clearly, contributed 452 words to it. Another one was, maybe 1,700, and then you're like pounding your chest, like I've written this masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it's really an article inside a collaboration, isn't it?
Yeah. You're a best-selling article writer, not really an author. Yeah. It's I hate to split hairs, and I've never done the anthology program. For people who don't know what that is, you contribute your one chapter of many in a book, and it's great for the publisher. They generally charge for that, and they make a ton of money on it. For the actual authors, think about this from a reader standpoint. You're inside of an anthology book. The book goes bestseller, and you tell your audience about it. Hey, I'm a best-selling author. Do you think they're going to go and get your book just to find your chapter?
Yeah.
And even if they do, they're going to look at other chapters, and it'll be like a banner ad in a website. You're being distracted by 15 other people there. So it's not just a diluted message, it's also a distractive message. Again, I'm not saying it's not a good idea. We just don't do it. I prefer to laser focus on the individual author who wants to contribute to the world and get their message out there as effectively as possible. And to that end, we don't just focus on books because not everybody reads. So all of our authors are encouraged to do a multimedia approach to their message.
So you're doing audiobooks. What else? What goes along?
I encourage them to do, we don't do, I can go record your book in audio. I have a couple clients doing it right now, but the video of being on television, YouTube channel, audio, being on podcasts as a host or a guest like this, doing articles. There's a lot of things a person should do to create that holistic environment to promote their message. And the book is one piece of that. It's a foundational piece because of all the things you can do, from slide shares to a YouTube channel. A book is still longer lasting than any of those. The bookshelf stays behind you. The books outlive our own lives, but a YouTube video is here and there and gone in a few minutes.
So one of the it just is amazing to me, the number of books that are produced on an annual basis.
I can give you the numbers on it.
What's the latest number?
It's about 2 million a year globally, new books. The number of existing books,
New books.
yeah, existing, it's about 131 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's worldwide lifetime. That's a lot of books, right? There's more. 131 billion is a lot. It's not as much as our national deficit, though. But the 2 million new books every year is a flood of information. And I've always said that self-publishing has been the best thing and the worst thing. It's great because anybody can become an author, and it's horrible because anybody can become an author. So part of our methodology and what we stress with our clients is you can be an author, you can write it, we can write it, but if we don't have a good marketing plan and positioning program to make sure you get your goals met, you're just going to be a tree in the forest where no one's going to hear it. It's just, there's too much information out there to stand out without a really clear plan and how to reach your audience and engage them. Because it's not just reach, you got to engage too.
A training I did the other day, I said, build it and they will come only works if they know you built it. Right.
And they want to come. Yeah.
Well, that's exactly it. So
yeah.
What are the hot categories these days, or what are the things that people still really want to know about or are wanting to know about for the first time?
That's a great question. That would require a more in-depth research into specific categories. A lot of our authors are in a leadership space. And, I was talking to my chief editor about this the other day. A lot of them are saying the same thing over and over again. So anybody that stands out is going to say something highly unique. For example, one of my authors, Ariel Halevi, is a leadership and communication consultant. He's got offices in Israel and in New York. His book is called You're Not Moving Slow Enough, The Key to Lasting Impact. In this microwave society, he says, nope, you're not moving slow enough. And where we're doing his book, number one, he took 10 years thinking about it. And he says, Doug, I'm never going to get this book done without help. He said the very first phone call with us, he knew it would get done. And within a year, his book was published, and his business went up 25% because of it, which is not bad for a 300-person consulting company. But the point is, his book talked about moving slower, and he gave great examples and stories of why this is important in the form of debates and discussions. And as you know from psychology, people debate on social media with no effect whatsoever, none. The cognitive bias of everybody is so pervasive. Like, I just got off the phone with a guy the other day. He says, I don't talk about anything until I've read the opposite view first. I'm like, oh, good for you. You're actually a thinker. So Ariel's book about moving slower is along those same lines. You cannot create impact or influence without slowing down and not just listening, but, use the word active listening in a pretty, casual manner. He takes it to a real high level. So it's a great story of listening and making an impact through that journey. So that's one area.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think something like that is so well needed in this time. Is there sudden expertism about how to come through a pandemic? Are you seeing a lot of that, or people coming through just sharing their rising Phoenix story?
Yeah, well, it's the pandemic is still out there right now as of September 2021, but we're doing a couple books on disruption right now, and one of the key principles I'm learning as a publisher is that there's always a pandemic, whether it's the stock market crash, the financial bubble, the dot-com bubble, or the pandemic. There's always a crisis to pivot, work around, whatever you want to call it. And if you were a student of history like I am, this is nothing. This isn't so bad. Did you read about the Black Plague? Did you read about what happened in 1918? Really? How many people were dying? This is rough. I've had friends and family pass on because of it. It's not easy, but comparatively speaking, it's just another thing. So in my viewpoint, getting through around it is a matter of personal perspective and will, really.
Well, I think that it's a very interesting point. One person's, well, Einstein said it many years ago, in the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity, right?
Yeah, well, I wish I had bought some stock in Pfizer a couple years ago. Okay, fine.
and a few others.
Yeah.
From that side. Yeah, but I mean, I think that there are probably some pretty amazing stories that are coming out or will be coming out about resilience.
Oh, yes. We've got
this.
2 or 3 resilience books. One got published. It's a worst case scenario, best life ever by Layla Gerlow. Wonderful stories of people in 2020 going through their stuff and doing amazing, generous things in their life. It's a wonderful book. I talked to a man yesterday who's doing a round the country tour, going into Chamber of Commerce's and small businesses and showcasing similar things like that. I've got one client coming out with 2 of them coming out with resilience books on their journey and the whole, not just about the past couple of years, but the whole thing. And resilience is always going to be in vogue. There won't be a time where you don't need it. Really.
I'd agree with that. Somebody asked me, I was doing their podcast the other day as the guest, and they said, what challenges have you overcome? I said, well, what challenges haven't you overcome through all this? The reality is, I don't care who you are, there have been obstacles, challenges, twists, turns, and so how do you, in an environment like this, now, how long do most of the books that you work with take from ideation to execution? What's that time frame usually?
Great question. For our full size books, for our VIP authors who, 180 page, 200 page book, it's about a 6 to 8 month process, depending on a few factors. We also have people who are focusing on the short attention spanners, and we create short ebooks for them. That's about a 60-day process. It's a much faster and easier access in terms of investment. But 6 to 8 months for a full size book is about right for us. There's exceptions to that curve.
Yeah.
We did one a few years ago for a lady who got a call from Fuji a month and a half before CES, and she was a speaker at the Consumer Electronics Show, and Fuji was one of our clients. Saying, "Hey, we want you to come up and speak at the CES. By the way, bring your book." And we had just completed her book, her personal journey book, and she said, "That one? No, the other one you mentioned." And she mentioned a book idea she had, so she had to go from idea to a full size printed book for a speaking gig, where she could be being paid to speak at CES. 44 days is what we did with her. And that was every day on, banging it out and refining it and editing it and layout and design. But, and the worst case is a man I talked to years ago at a conference. I was a speaker, and he was a nonprofit CEO. "I'm working on a book," he says to me. "Oh, great." Tells you the topic, great idea. "How long have you been working on it?" This guy's about 75 at the time. About 20 years. I said, "That's great. You have a commitment to a target date when you're going to publish? I mean, no offense, but you don't have all the time in the world,
Very nice.
Yeah, 6 to 8 months is about right. Short answer.
So when, with so much changing, I mean, the rules are changing on a daily basis, it seems like, in today's society. How much does that affect the process or the thought flow or, getting a book done right now?
It doesn't affect writing or publishing or marketing. The only place it really affects people recently has been the speaker circuit. A lot of our authors are speakers, and if you don't know how to communicate on Zoom well, it's tougher for those folks who are speaker centric. It's been a little challenging. There are people out there who know how to communicate on this format, and I highly encourage you to check in with them. Even you and I both have done public speaking before, and
Sure.
we're okay talking here on Zoom, but to effectively hold someone's attention for an hour with Q&A or no Q&A, however you do it, it'd be a good idea to hone up on that a little bit.
Good suggestion there. Could help everybody. Now,
Yeah, the guy I just recently connected with is Robbie Samuels, I think. Robbie Samuels, who's got a bestseller.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now you're even working around the world with your offerings, right? You said you have an author in Israel, and I'm sure that you have them many other places. How do people find you from these other locations?
It's all been referrals from my clients in Australia, Israel, France, UK. But it's English speaking, and we're breaking into the Spanish and Portuguese market this coming year. But it's been mainly referrals, and LinkedIn has been really good for us. It's been a way to go.
But your business has been going smoking pretty well, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I started out like most people, just myself, and I got a VA about 10 years ago. And he and I did, whatever we did to, get our business going. We didn't do any marketing. It was all referrals. It went fine. And then I had my business coach tell me about scaling up. I'm like, all right, I can scale up a little bit. So I added some staff and a little bit of marketing, and all of a sudden, bam, it's like, I've got salaries and this is a real business now. And when the pandemic came out, I will tell you that we had a lull of like a month and a half, not a single new business piece came in. It was like nothing. And, I had salaries to pay and all that. I'm like, this is not very much fun. I don't know if I like this. And I got a little angry. And I haven't watched the news in 20 years, except for, a few minutes here and there with crises. But I was on social media. And when I didn't have business for a month and a half, I'm like, what's going on? Well, I'm a positive guy. I'm telling people to get out there and lead during this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I recognized my own attitude had shifted based on social media. So, and I knew enough that I couldn't just cold turkey it voluntarily. So I had my administrative assistant change my password on me. Don't give it to me for 30 days. Right? I don't want to get on that stuff. And business went up 300% last year because of it.
That's awesome. It's a great technique, actually.
I had to, because I know me. Right. So I'm back on now because I got myself down to about 5 minutes every other day. So it's okay. But it can time suck. But more importantly, it's an energy suck. And if you've seen the movie Social Dilemma, it's all on purpose. This divisiveness in our country is by intention, and I can't stand it.
No,
I am working really hard on other ways to battle that, or to bring more love into the universe here, because it's silly.
Well, again, you and I have talked about this. My platform is really to return respect, honor, and dignity to the planet to the best of our ability. And there's just, it's why I really enjoy training. And there's a group that I train every week, and they're so appreciative of a positive attitude, how to handle this situation and whatever. Again, how to handle challenges that, quite frankly, everybody they're going through.
Yeah.
Nobody's immune from this. At least I haven't found anybody. Have you?
No, I'm doing my best to not participate. It's a phrase I like to use. So when people tell me about a flood or a fire, I'm like, I didn't hear about that. It didn't really, no disrespect to the poor unfortunate souls who suffered that, but it doesn't really I can't do anything about it. It doesn't make me better. Don't you want to be informed? I'm like, no, I don't. Do you want to take crack cocaine? No. Why? Well, because it rots your brain. Thank you very much for making my point.
Yeah.
So
I think
I'm not participating.
I think that's a great idea. Is just saying, yes, no, thank you.
Yeah. And it's just so funny when they say I'm living in a bubble. I'm like, you're right. Thank you very much. It's my bubble. And my friends like Scott, we're in it, and we're happy, and we're making the world a better place because of this bubble. You enjoy your CNN, Fox News bubble all you want. I'm not participating in that. Sorry. Doesn't help me out.
Yeah. It's, oh gosh, there was something I did a few minutes of social media this morning as well, and not very much, quite frankly, for a lot of the same reasons. But it was something about, again, the divisiveness. And I said, I know, it was a Herschel Walker tweet. Actually, Herschel is a longtime friend.
Oh, nice.
Just an amazing guy. But he just, his tweet was about, tomorrow's 9/11, remember the people. And I just put, remember the feeling you had that day.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
Now, how can you return respect, honor, and dignity to those so we can all feel that as a country one more time?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it was the most creative post I've ever made or anything like that, but it was you just definitely, it's a shame to sit and see purposeful division.
Right?
It's a shame.
It's like so
why?
clear to me. And when I talk to like really smart people who don't see it, I'm like, I know I sound crazy to you, but it's so apparent that you're being manipulated with what you think and believe or not, because I work on a blog post that's not published yet about information that we get. It's all has an agenda. Even this, we have an agenda here. I'm not saying nobody has an agenda, but if you don't know the agenda, the information you're absorbing, you're being used.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? I mean, my goodness, again, you just see so many different sides of different things. I was always taught to be a critical thinker and think it all through. And if it's not logical to you, it's logical to somebody.
Right. It's not easy though. I caught myself several times, especially with the, cancel culture stuff and whatnot. I got a little bit angry at some of these things I was seeing until I was forced to look into it and say, well, maybe I'm wrong. Let me go ahead and look into it a little deeper. And the more I do, the more I realize, you know what? Most people have a good heart and they're looking at things from their perspective. So my job is not to try to change anyone's mind. My job is to try to understand theirs first. So if I can't do that, what's the point?
No, I totally agree with you. It's, again, and one of the things I train on all the time is walk a mile in their shoes.
Right.
If you haven't put their shoes on and you don't understand the situation, you're coming from a place of weakness, actually.
Good point.
You haven't really entertained the possibilities, I guess, from that side.
Yeah.
So we're starting to run pretty close to time here. How about some wisdom for everybody? Leave that wisdom piece.
Oh my gosh. Let me give you some Doug Crowe quotes. I haven't got those up ready, but I can give you in terms of the thing about the book, right? That's why my passion is helping people get their message out there. If you've got a story to tell it, right? And start. A lot of people say, how do I get started? I have writer's block, or it's such a big project, I'm overwhelmed, they don't do it. But there's some very you can do. First one is just to write something every day. You don't have to publish it, but just start a journal or a blog or something, private or public, and just get in the habit of getting your thoughts out. It gives you clarity, it gives you purpose, and you might get a book out of it in a month or a year, depending how fast you're writing. It's also very cathartic. It helps you become a better person because you're actually getting your ideas out. So start writing right away. The other thing is that when people think about their book, they think about their story as opposed to their reader. So as you know, when I talk about this vet and validate thing we do, always find out or ask what people really want. They want a diet magic pill. Sorry, they don't want to work out. What can you say? Here's a question I ask all my clients. What can you say that hasn't already been said 100 times? Right? Leadership, sales, experience, business practices. Oh, gosh, everything I'm saying, I actually read somewhere else. That's right. So the only unique thing is your perspective. But ask yourself what perspective you could bring that your clients have told you they like. And maybe you could find other clients like that. So write every day is one thing. It can always help you out no matter what you do. And if you want to come out with a book, don't go hog wild into committing to it first. I'll offer you people watching this. I've got a validation exercise I can do with people to help them. I described a little bit here with the book covers and the focus groups and the 3-star reviews. But if they go to go.realbestseller.com, they can download this thing or get on the call with me and go through it. And we can help you better position your idea and see if it is worthy or not, or if you even want to do it. Most people do, but occasionally like, you know what, this isn't right. I'm like, well, then don't do it. At least now you know, right? So stop waffling and commit to the action of understanding if people really want to hear your message, or if you can refine that message to make it more interesting. So that's
absolutely wonderful. Advice. I think everybody should take Doug up on that. I think that's a great way. Thanks for being here, my friend.
You bet. Thank you.
We'll have to do this again. Thank you all for joining me on Scott Schilling Speaks. We'll see you again Monday, exact same time. See ya. Bye.